Hi, I'm Austin Taylor Moore. My birthday is September 10th, 1997, and I'm the writer-director and I play Nick Muller. Describe Nick's character arc. Well, throughout the whole story, Nick came full circle. When we first meet him, he's all hardened by this world and the situation that he's in. And then when he finds Claire, he's more open to people and trusting them more. Similar to how Francis needs a fight, Nick needs a mission. And his mission was first to, when he was National Guard and his job was to help evacuate people to a refugee center. Then after that fell apart, his mission to himself was to go find his family. And then he found Claire. Then his mission was to protect Claire. And then after she died, his mission is to go try to find their parents. His favorite and least favorite scenes to shoot and why. Favorite scenes as an actor would be the stairwell fight and the last fight between Francis and Nick. Those two fights were just like fun to film, and the choreography. I like the choreography. And then what other scenes? The first scene when we're introduced to Peter, because that scene had a lot of improv moments that were just like either on the spot when I said action or as we were going over the scene. I was like, yeah, keep that, that's good. Another scene, the burial scene, is because I don't know, I just felt like just getting some good vibes from those performances with me, Courtney, and Teresa. And then the scene where it's their second night, and then Claire wakes up and it's like, oh, you're still awake. And then Nick's like saying how this is what he did when the fall happened, his job and his mission. Then she goes to sleep, and then he says, well, she wasn't asleep yet, but we find out later that she heard what he said, which was happy birthday. And then I like that scene because it was like it kind of combined two of my loves together, because combined the filming part of my life, and it combined the theater part, because people were there when we were filming that scene. We were doing it in front of a crowd, especially every time I said cut, then I'll just hear Michaela, aww. Oh, and another favorite scene is when at the end of the movie, around the guys, the shootout with Nick and Claire. And the favorite scenes to shoot as a director was the Claire and Francis fight when they were under supply run. Least favorite scenes to shoot was the shots at the store and the second doctor scene. Favorite people to work with and why? Kalen, because he's the homie. KJ, because he's always there, ready, and he's able to add more than what he's given. Courtney, because she was able to pick up the choreography quick, and then she was able to pick up and understand her lines quickly. And Michaela, because it's always fun when she actually shows up. Favorite and least favorite characters. Favorite, Nick, Claire, Veronica, and least favorite, Lily and Francis. 5 people to be in your zombie survival team and why. Nick, Claire, and Veronica, because I feel like it would be cool if we're all on the same page. The reason why Veronica was butting heads with Nick and Claire is because they weren't on the same page. But if we was on the same page, it'll be a wrap. So that's them 3, and then KJ because he's athletic and strong, and he'll be able to listen to what you have to say and able to add ideas. And then Courtney because she would adapt, and you're able to teach her. It isn't some people are saying Francis, but he's not gonna listen to you. He's not gonna listen to what you have to say, even though he's strong. So yeah, so you need to saw her so she'll be able to listen. And at the end of the world, you're gonna need the next question. How did it feel to come back and jump back into this character? It feels good to come back and play Nick, especially with more material and more emotion to play off of. Are there any Easter eggs? Yeah, everyone's name came from something having to do with zombie. Nick Muller. Nick came from Left 4 Dead 2. Muller, Jake Muller from Resident Evil 6. And then Jake was character who was cut. Was a character who was cut from the film. And then see Claire from Resident Evil, Veronica Jones, Resident Evil Code Veronica Jones, Morgan Jones, The Walking Dead, Francis Lee, Francis Left 4 Dead 1, Lee from The Walking Dead, Telltale Games. In the script for Lone Wolf, Nick's name in the script was Stranger, which is and then he also says, "Call me Stranger because that's what I am to you." Stranger being that's what the merchant calls Leon in Resident Evil 4. Sam comes from Sam Raimi, who directed Evil Dead. Peter Green comes from Peter from Dawn of the Dead, and then Green comes from the Green family from The Walking Dead, Herschel, Maggie, yeah. Lily comes from Lily from The Walking Dead, whether it's the comic, the show, or the game. Luke Chambers, Luke comes from Luke from the Telltale Walking Dead, season 2. Yes, season 2. And Chambers, Rebecca Chambers from Resident Evil. Chris Kirkman, Chris from Resident Evil, and Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead. Ash Romero, Ash as in Evil Dead. Even though it's like, a female version instead of a male, but still. And then George Romero, the creator of zombies, basically. And then George Romero, creator of zombies. Barbara Kennedy. Barbara comes from Night of the Living Dead. Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil. Frank comes from Frank West from Dead Rising. Jim Blake, who's in a miniseries, comes from Jim from 28 Days Later. Or you could do Jim from The Walking Dead season 1. And then Blake comes from Philip Blake from The Walking Dead. So in Chance, everyone's telling their stories about what happened, and so Claire was talking about she was at the mall, and then only her friend and Anna got out. Anna was bit and all that. Anna comes from Dawn of the Dead. And there's 2 cut characters. First was Ben West, Ben from Night of the Living Dead, and Ben from the Walking Dead video game, and then Frank West from the Dead Rising video game. And then there's Selena Masterson, Selena from 28 Days Later. And then Masterson, Alana Masterson, who plays Tara in The Walking Dead. Also in the script, they talk about, what happened during the fall, and this and that. The fall was the runner-up for the possible title for the film. Fall is the fall of, society and all of that, so that would have to focus at the beginning of the apocalypse, but we jumped right into it, so there's no point of it being called the fall. Nick says, hop on Highway 68, alluding to the release date for Night of the Living Dead. Next question, has your vision changed? Yes, my vision has changed. A lot has changed, for better or for worse. Some has stayed the same. Some things that stayed the same was Claire's death, even though it's different than how I wanted it. Describe the relationship between Claire and Nick, as well as the relationship between Francis and Veronica. Veronica is the only one who truly understands Francis, and Veronica is the only one that Francis will listen to. Whether there's some hate as well as some love within the relationship, they're the only ones who get each other. Alright, and then with Nick and Claire's relationship, they both kind of, balance each other out. When we first meet them, Nick is on the hopeless and hating side of the spectrum, and Claire is on the hopeful and loving side of the spectrum. And then when they reunite, Nick is more forgiving. Throughout the duration of this film, when Nick is on a darker side, Claire brings some light, and then when Claire is on the darker side, Nick brings some light. So they both kind of act of voice of reasons for each other. They both kind of balance and check each other. Without each other, they both kind of swing all the way on one side of the spectrum. When we first meet Nick, he's on the hopeless side, and then where we leave with Nick is he's on the hopeful side of finding his parents, and now Claire's with him in spirit. Teresa asked, when writing the story, was any of the characters inspired by characters from other stories or people in your life? Veronica was inspired by Negan from the Walking Dead comic. Francis was inspired by Ajax from my favorite film, The Warriors, with that always fighting and that not listening mentality. and then Sam was a kind of mix of a lone survivor, the typical lone survivor, as well as some personalities from Teresa. KJ asked, how did it feel to get hit in every scene we did together? It felt like nothing. You're weak. Those were baby hits. Michaela asked if you could change one thing about the movie. What would it be? To give more time to Nick and Claire's relationship, or more Veronica, or more zombies.